Hi everybody, welcome back to today's book review. In this video, we'll dive into Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson, the authorized biography of Apple's co-founder. This book gives us a raw and filtered look at the genius, the visionary, and the sometimes difficult personality behind Apple's greatest innovations. Let's get right into it. This book is the definitive biography of Steve Jobs. It was written by Walter Isaacson, who was known for his insightful biographies of famous figures like Albert Einstein and Benjamin Franklin. The book was published in 2011 and immediately became a bestseller. Now, what makes this book so fascinating is that it's based on over 40 interviews with Jobs himself, his family, friends, colleagues, and even rivals. So, we're getting a pretty unfiltered look at this iconic figure. The book traces Jobs' life from his early days growing up in California, his meeting with Steve Wozniak, and the founding of Apple Computer Inc. In a garage, his tumultuous relationship with the company he founded, being fired from his own company, building Next, buying Pixar, and finally returning to Apple to lead one of the greatest comebacks in business history. Throughout the story, Isaacson paints a portrait of Jobs as a complex figure. He was brilliant but also demanding, creative but also ruthless. A visionary who could turn an entire corporate culture upside down. In my reading, I came across these 6 key themes and lessons. Let's talk about them. 1. Innovation and simplicity. Jobs was a master of innovation. He had this unique ability to take complex technology and make it simple and beautiful. He wanted to make the computer a part of everyday life for the average person, not just a tool for the highly skilled few. This led to some of the most iconic products in history: the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. His design philosophy was less is more. He was obsessed with user experience, and this is evident in Apple's products, which are known for their simplicity and ease of use. For example, the Macintosh was the first computer with a full-fledged graphical interface, including a mouse and colorful icons. This made it much more accessible to non-experts. And of course, the iPhone changed how we communicate, introduced a new way to interact with technology through touch, and made the internet available to billions. 2. Reality distortion field. Jobs had this incredible ability to convince people, and sometimes even himself, that the impossible was possible. He called this his reality distortion field. He would set lofty goals and then rally his team to achieve them no matter the odds. One of the most famous examples is the Mac, which was the first commercially successful personal computer with a built-in screen and mouse. It was revolutionary at the time, but it almost didn't happen because of technical limitations. But Jobs didn't let that stop him. He assembled a team of engineers and designers, and they worked tirelessly for months to make it a reality. And when it was finally released, it blew everyone away. The reality distortion field was not just about achieving great things. It was also about doing them quickly. Jobs was impatient, and he hated bureaucracy. He wanted things done yesterday. This often put him at odds with other executives, but it also led to some incredible results. For example, the original Mac was developed in just 2 years, which was unheard of in the computer industry at the time. 3. Failures and comebacks. Despite all of his successes, Jobs was not immune to failure. In fact, he experienced one of the most public and humiliating failures imaginable when he was fired from Apple in 1985. After returning to Apple in 1997, Jobs was able to use this experience to help turn around the company. He understood that Apple needed to change if it was going to survive, and he was willing to do whatever it took to make that happen. One of the most interesting aspects of the book is the way that Isaacson deals with Jobs' flaws. Jobs was known for being difficult to work with. He was demanding, controlling, and often unreasonable. But Isaacson does not try to sugarcoat any of this. Instead, he shows us the human side of Jobs. He talks about his struggles with depression and his tendency to burn out. He also talks about his relationships with his family and friends and how they were affected by his job. Ultimately, what emerges is a portrait of a man who was both brilliant and deeply flawed. Number 4. Perfectionism. Jobs was a perfectionist, and he expected the same from his employees. He had very high standards, and he was afraid to let people know when they weren't meeting them. This could be frustrating and even demoralizing at times, but it also led to some incredible results. For example, the original Mac was designed with such care and attention to detail that it won a design award from Time magazine. No. 5. Leadership. Jobs was an inspiring leader who was able to get the best out of his employees. He had a clear vision for what Apple could be, and he was able to communicate that vision in a way that was both exciting and motivating. He was also willing to take risks, and he wasn't afraid to make bold moves. For example, he decided to bet everything on the iPhone, even though there was no guarantee that it would be successful. This kind of risk-taking and bold decision-making was contagious. It inspired those around him to be at their best. And finally, number 6. Legacy. Steve Jobs left an indelible mark on the world. He changed not just the technology industry, but also music with iTunes and iPod, animation with Pixar, and mobile communication with the iPhone. He was a true visionary who was able to see the potential of technology to change the world. When Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, the company was on the brink of bankruptcy. But under his leadership, it became one of the most valuable companies in the world. He was also a cultural icon. His style and his persona were instantly recognizable. He was one of the most influential and controversial figures of our time. If you want to learn more about Steve Jobs, I highly recommend reading this book. It's a page-turner. You'll feel like you're right there in the room with Jobs as he is giving one of his famous presentations, or as he's working late into the night on a new product. You'll get to see the real Steve Jobs, the brilliant, the passionate, the flawed. You'll learn about his childhood and how it shaped him. You'll learn about his relationship with his parents and how they influenced him. You'll also learn about his spiritual side and how it played a role in his life and work. Some of the books that I've read recently have felt a bit too academic or dry, but this one is different. It's well written and engaging. You'll find yourself rooting for Jobs and his team as they take on the competition and try to create the next big thing. And even when Jobs makes mistakes, you'll still root for him. I have a question for you. What's your favorite Steve Jobs story? Have you ever met him? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share them in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and make sure to grab a copy of Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. It's a fantastic read, and I know you'll love it. Take care and see you soon.